Again, we thank you for joining us today for this session of the AgrAbility webinar series. My name is Paul Jones. I'm the manager of the National AgrAbility Project, which is headquartered here at Purdue University in West Lafayette, Indiana. We're glad you could join us. We know these are certainly challenging times, and we hope that virtual events like this can help you utilize your time in as productive a manner as possible. Our session today deals with smart technology related both to agriculture and to the home. And our presenter is Luke Kane, who is one of our occupational therapy interns here at the National AgrAbility Project. And he's going to be sharing some information about his background in just a minute. Some of you may not be familiar with AgrAbility. We are a program sponsored by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and our focus is on helping people in agriculture that have some type of disability or other functional limitation. Every AgrAbility project is a partnership between a land-grant university and at least one nonprofit disability services organization. There are currently 20 state projects funded by USDA around the country, and there's also one National AgrAbility Project. Again, that's here at Purdue University in the Breaking New Ground Resource Center. Our partners on the National AgrAbility Project grant include Goodwill of the Finger Lakes, APRIL, which is the Association of Programs for Rural Independent Living, Colorado State University, and Washington State University. You can get a lot more information about AgrAbility at agrability.org. And again, we do have more than 90 archived webinars and other online training archived on that site if you'd like to view that. At this point, I'm going to turn things over to our presenter, Luke Kane. I will make him the presenter, and I will plan to return then after the presentation for the survey questions and the question and answer period.
Thank you, Paul. Can you guys see and hear me okay?
We can hear you and see you.
Okay, great. Hello, everybody. Thank you guys for your interest today. Hopefully everybody is staying safe and healthy out there in your homes. Thankful that we have the technology that we do today to be able to meet and still talk about this. And the topic is actually about smart technology, so perfect timing. And we're going to cover a lot of different products in here or examples of products, but none of which do myself endorse or AgrAbility. They're just examples of the smart technology options that are out there. The reason that we're going to look at them is to see how they can be helpful as far as efficiency, but also safety for people within agriculture, not only out in the field or in their workshops, but also in the home. And we'll get into that here in a little bit. So a little bit about myself. I'm from Indiana. I graduated with a degree in exercise science from Indiana Wesleyan University. And here in a couple weeks, I'll actually be finishing my occupational therapy doctorate degree as well. I'm currently completing my residency project with AgrAbility with an emphasis on advocacy for agriculture population as a whole, but specifically with the individuals with a disability. My family, we own a field drainage system installation business. So if we weren't in school or playing sports, we were typically out in the field with our father helping him. And my mother, she is a surgical technologist. So growing up, I was always interested in sports and exercise and the human body. So as I started college, I was torn between an agriculture career and a medical field career. And it was until I came across occupational therapy where we work with people of all ages, from all different kinds of backgrounds, and it seemed like the perfect fit. So from occupational therapy, we work with people that have all kinds of disabilities, physical or cognitive, mental in nature. and we want to break down any barriers they may be experiencing and help them be as independent and safe as possible with the things that are important to them and that they need to get done. So how we do that is through recommendations for smart technology, assistive technology, and we'll get into some of those here in a little bit. Some agriculture statistics here just to put things into perspective. There's about 22 million full and part-time agriculture workers in the U.S. It makes up about 11% of the entire U.S. employment, so it is very significant. 96% of farms and ranches today are still family-owned. So when we think about that, we think that it's not only the farmer themselves or maybe even their spouse that is running it, but there may still be grandparents working on the farm, or sons and daughters, nieces, nephews, cousins, anything of that nature. And so the more people that you have working on your farm, the higher probability that somebody may have a disability of some sort. The average age of all producers as of 2017 is 59.4. So taking into account the dangers that come with careers in agriculture, but also the natural effects of aging, it's just prevalent that there's going to be disability that these individuals are experiencing. According to the Center for Dairy and Farm Safety, this is the list of the most common injuries and conditions experienced by people within agriculture. So you see things like arthritis, back pain, knee pain, things that can be caused from just repetitive use or wear and tear of joints and muscles. All the way to very severe things like spinal cord injuries, traumatic brain injuries, which can be caused from a number of things. Working with livestock, you can be thrown around or maybe even pinched between a large animal and a fence or some sharp object. So there really is a lot of things that could happen in the various fields of agriculture. But just to put into perspective what these individuals may be facing. And a lot of the products that we are going to look at today from a smart technology realm, we're going to highlight the specific devices that can help the individuals that may be having specific injuries and conditions that are listed here. Unfortunately, with a business or an industry like agriculture, it is very dangerous. And in 2017, there were 416 documented fatalities from farmer and farm workers. That's about 20 people per 100,000. So it is very significant, and the leading cause of which was transportation incidents, specifically tractor rollovers. So if you look at the graphic over here on the right, you can see the other causes of death from 2009 to 2018, just to put into perspective the dangers that these individuals are experiencing. Fortunately, for some people that have experienced accidents while working, or whether it was just in their other daily life activities, 13% of them did not lose their life, and they're now faced with a disability that they have to now overcome in order to continue working and living their daily life. They broke down the statistics here a little bit more. About 2 out of 10 farmers have a disability of some kind. 1 out of 10 farm workers, so more of just laborers on the farm, not specifically the person who owns the farm. 1 out of 25 farm family children ages 6 to 17 have some kind of disability, and 2 out of 25 farm family adults have some kind of disability. So just putting things into perspective that these individuals are being faced with these challenges, and they need education, resources, and the equipment to continue working and be as independent as they can be, and safe. So as I mentioned, we as therapists, but also it could be people, representatives from AgrAbility, assistive technology professionals that After performing an assessment, we recommend various types of assistive technology. So what assistive technology is any item, piece of equipment, software program, or product system that is used to increase, maintain, or improve the functional capabilities of persons with disabilities. So not only do we want to improve the functional capabilities of the person, but what we're also doing is we're reducing the strain that's being placed on the body. And so it's all around a great tool that we can recommend to our patients based on their needs. Assistive technology is a very big umbrella term. There's a lot that goes into it, and smart technology would actually be considered assistive technology as well. So what SMART actually stands for is self-monitoring, analysis, and reporting technology. So essentially what that is things that typically were just objects, inanimate objects that we use every day, once they were able to talk back to us and we could kind of program them to perform how we want them to, that's where these things started becoming called smart, and kind of where we're at today with all the technology appliances that we have. So that's just a little bit about the definition of it, and they even break it down into different types of smart technology. There are smart devices, which can be anything as simple as a coffee maker. But the second that we can set that clock to start brewing our coffee at 5 o'clock a.m. and we're not even out of our bed yet, that creates that device as now a smart device. Smart connected devices would be anything that require a wired connection, Wi-Fi connection, or cellular data, like cell phones, for instance. And then IoT devices, or Internet of Things, are things on a much larger scale, much higher tech, things like smart meters in cities, commercial security systems, the technologies that they use to monitor traffic in large cities. We're now starting to classify cities as being smart cities based on the technology that they have within them. And we'll get into some of the IoT devices and programs that are used specifically with agriculture towards the end here. So a little bit more statistics and numbers here, and then we'll get into some of the more interesting pictures and other information. Over about 27% of U.S. consumers have more than 3 smart home devices in their homes. Another 7% own 2 or 3. And half of the people that were in this survey have at least one smart technology with a millennial in the home. And when the millennial was in the home, the percentage went up to 64%, as younger generations are more tech savvy and just pushing those percentages further up. 58% say that smart homes will likely change their lives over the next few years. So people are definitely noticing that their devices are helping them with their daily lives. 68% of millennials expect devices to talk to one another, even if they're not from the same vendor or same company. And some programs or some devices may be able to do that, but that all comes down to each specific company. And we're starting to get more smart technology that can be worn on our bodies. A lot of smart technology now is holding data up in the cloud. A lot of people don't even carry cash on them or checks because everything is debit card, credit card, and everything is digitally transferred from our accounts. And even smart cars. We have cars that claim to drive themselves today. So it just seems like things are only going up, and they're just developing more and more smart technology options with every day. So we're going to start with some of the devices that are home-based or stationary devices, and some of these can even be stationary in other buildings on your property. They don't necessarily have to be the home, but some of them usually are. So, and again, we don't endorse any of these products. These are just examples of what is available out there. So the first of which, they're very popular in today's age, smart hubs and controllers. So as you see these few examples here on the left, all these different ones have commands that they respond to, and they're ready to listen to us and to do whatever we tell them to control in our home or just tell us the weather. So we really have quite a bit of capabilities right at our hands with these devices. If something is a smart hub, as you see on the top picture in the left here, they have visual displays. So we can video chat with people, do messaging, emailing, you can watch TV while you're cooking. And some even have rotation features where it'll follow movement around. So if you're moving around in your kitchen, they can follow along with you. So for some people, this may seem very over the top or unnecessary, but for farm families, somebody, I'm not sure who. Okay, I think we're good. Sorry, where was I at? For people who may have family members that may have some kind of disability, or people that are just maybe elderly and they're home a lot, this can be a great way for them to stay connected with loved ones, or use the communication to call emergency services if something should come up. And the controllers, they're the ones you see here at the bottom. There's no screens to them, but they can be voice activated as well, and they can control your hubs, your thermostats, your lights, your TVs, and they can even create shopping lists for you so that you don't forget something when you're out shopping. So great things that can be in the home, but again, they're typically stationary and they don't move around a whole lot. Smart thermostats. So these are things that can be placed on your wall just like a traditional thermostat to control your heating and your air conditioning within your home. They can just be touchscreened, use the buttons that are on them, or you can control them from your phones, your laptops, and you can actually even change your temperatures in your home if they're connected to a smart hub, and not even have to really get up and do it manually. It can learn your schedule so that when you leave for work in the morning, once you leave, it'll actually turn down the heat or turn down the air conditioning to save energy and to save you money in the end of it. When we look at it from an injury or disability spectrum, spinal cord injuries and strokes are very common. And with these kinds of injuries, depending where they happen in the body, let's say a spinal cord injury that occurs here, anywhere below that level in the body, their body may not be able to regulate internal temperature like it once could prior to the injury. So for people that are experiencing this, temperature is something that they need to take very seriously for their health. And the fact that they can have the peace of mind of knowing exactly what their temperature is by looking at their phone and adjusting it according to their body's need is a very good tool for them to have. Smart lighting is something that is becoming very popular. Light bulbs have been changing quite a bit over the years. But what these do, they fit into any standard light bulb socket. And you can control them from your phone via a Wi-Fi connection. And they even have just traditional wall switches that can control them. You can set timers to them. You can dim them or make the brightness whatever you would like it. Control them with your voice again, and then there's a color feature as well. Some of them have motion sensors, and what this can be significant for is if you have anybody that's in your family that may have behavioral health or mental health issue, or somebody who's elderly, somebody that has low vision, if they're getting up in the middle of the night or anything where the lights may not be on and the motion sensors go off, this reduces any risk of trip hazards or having them fall and having any other kind of serious injury result from that. So very good for people with low vision. You can adjust the lighting with the time of day as the sun's going down. And then we want to try to reduce any glare that may be happening in the house, especially for people with low vision. This is just going to improve the person's ability to see what's in their environment and reduce any kinds of dangers that may be present. And there's another factor that some people may not think about, but color does have a very therapeutic effect. And so for individuals who may be struggling with any kind of emotional disorder or anxiety, these colors can help them calm down and feel better, or whatever they may be needing. Color can have a very therapeutic effect. So another great piece of smart technology that can help a lot of people with a variety of different disabilities. Another thing that has been in our homes for many, many years are televisions. And now with these smart televisions, they can access the internet. You have things such as Netflix, YouTube, you can see the weather, social media, you can play games, you can video chat. If you have a phone connected to your TV or you have a camera attachment for it. But this is significant, especially for times that we're in right now where we can't leave our homes, or some of us can't, and we need to stay connected with family, with our loved ones, and having technology like this can allow us to do so. But from a disability standpoint, for instance, if somebody doesn't have the ability to use their arms or their hands for some reason, some TVs and some remotes actually have the feature to be voice activated. And so somebody can just say, turn to channel 13 and be able to still live their life with that level of independence. As I've kind of mentioned a little bit about the environment, from an occupational therapy standpoint, we obviously look at the body quite a bit and study that, but we also take into account the environment and what's going on around it. And we want to make it as safe as possible for the people that may have a disability. So specifically with like mental health and behavioral health, specifically with dementia first, a lot of dementia units in nursing homes or hospitals, the doorways to leave are typically painted or covered with something else to say, look like a bookshelf instead of a doorway. And so somebody looks at that and they say, oh, okay, that's a bookshelf. I don't need to go over there. I can't get out that way. So it's making the environment more safe for them. And if you look at this picture here, the painting in the middle there is actually, it's a television. And they make it to where it can look like a painting or whatever the picture you may want it to be. So if you have somebody that's just in your home and they need to have environmental constraints or just things modified just from a smart technology perspective, this could be something that makes things simpler, less cluttered, and this could potentially lead to safer environments for people with certain disabilities. So it's very interesting the first time I saw it. But we have smart locks now, and there's still traditional keyholes underneath it, but some of them are touchscreen, some of them have keypads, but you can unlock your doors with a touch of a button on your smartphone. You can do it from your laptops, but what this is significant for from a disability standpoint would be somebody with a hand injury per se, whether they don't have a hand or they just have reduced range of motion or reduced fine motor abilities to manipulate or pinch a key. They can use the app and simply just touch a couple buttons, or even say if somebody doesn't have a hand, whatever residual limb that they may have, the phone will typically pick up anything that's the skin material or the warmth of it, so they can still get in their house and not have to rely on anybody else to help them with that aspect of their life. Similarly, we have smart doorbells. There's two-way audio for these. So let's say somebody is in their home who may have experienced a spinal cord injury or stroke or have loss of a limb, and they can't move around their house as easily as they could prior to their injury. And so now they can see who's at the door, and they can determine, okay, if it's somebody just delivering a package, I can talk to them and say, thank you, leave it on the door, that's fine. Or if it's somebody who is maybe my caretaker or my spouse or family member who needs to come and help me get out of bed and transfer so I can get ready and go to work. So they can look at it and they can say, oh, okay, this is somebody who I need. Then go back to their smart lock. They can unlock their door, let the person in without even leaving their bed based off of their disability and the fact that they need the help to do so. So people that have experienced injuries like these, something that is very important is the conservation of their energy. So if they don't have to, one, risk their safety to get out of bed or to get out of wherever they are to check the door, they are saving their energy for things later in the day, like maybe taking themselves to the restroom, feeding themselves, or just the energy they need when they're out in the field or whatever their line of work may be within agriculture. Another safety feature, if they're paired with like a security system in your home, if the front door or the back door is opened, there are speakers in your home that will say front door open. And again, this can be significant for just children that may be in the home or anybody who could have some kind of mental health issue or somebody who's just elderly and needs a little bit more surveillance within the home. This lets the people in the home know that, hey, somebody is leaving and we need to make sure we get them in the house just for the sake of their safety. Next, we have smart plugs. These are relatively simple, and what they are you plug the smart plug into an outlet, and then you can plug anything into the smart plug, say a lamp that's just a traditional lamp. But now once you plug that into the smart plug, it now becomes a smart lamp, just like that. So you can connect these to your smart hubs. They can be voice controlled. You can control them from your phone, your laptop, via Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. And they can also be set to timers and schedules. So the significance to these, besides just being more efficient and saving you some time, for individuals that do need to be conserving their energy, it's just another thing where they can use their phone, their voice, whatever they may prefer, and save them the energy from having to get up and do it, and also reducing the risk of experiencing an injury while trying to do it. As we think back to that list of conditions and injuries that are most common in people within agriculture, when you look at those conditions, a lot of times in order for these people to manage them and live their life with those conditions, they're living on medication. And so whether somebody may just be forgetful or they may have some memory issues, it can be nice to have medication reminders. So there are products out there that can light up and even sound an alarm off for when you need to take your medication. So this can be great for, let's say, if I may have low vision or I'm blind, I can still hear the alarm going off and say, oh, I need to take my 9 a.m. medication. And vice versa, if I'm hearing impaired, I can still see the light flashing, and that's my reminder to take my medication. Some of the features have pill bottles that you can scan, and after you scan it, that will send a notification to your doctor, to any of your caretakers, to any of your family members, to let them know, hey, Daniel took his medication on time. Or if you don't take your medication, they also know that, and they can contact you to make sure that everything is okay. Some of the larger pharmacies, they provide a small device here that you see on the left. And if you're a subscriber to this service, you don't own the device. It's just on loan, and you give it back once you don't need it anymore. But the pills come in these prepackaged bottles, and there is a sensor on the bottom of it so that that machine knows exactly what is in that bottle. So whether I'm just taking a lot of medications and I get them confused, or if I'm visually impaired, I can put the pill bottle on that device, click a button, and it'll tell me what the medication is and what it's used for. The Be My Eyes app is an app that was developed by a man who's visually impaired. We typically, if you have complete field of vision, you have 180 degrees of what you can see from here straight out in front of you. And he, whatever his diagnosis was, can now only see a 5-degree window in front of him. And so he realized how this was affecting his life, and he developed this app where people with low vision or people that may be blind can use this app, and it connects them to a list of, I forget how many thousands of volunteers they have, but it creates an instant video chat so that you're paired with a volunteer who speaks the same language as you. There's 180 different languages available, and they can just look at what your camera is pointing at to determine if you're holding a $20 bill or a $100 bill, or help you read a sign while out in public, anything like that. So great technology for managing medication or just knowing what's around you in your environment based on visual or hearing impairments. Now we're going to get into some of the wearable and portable devices that can be used also within the home when you're out traveling or out in the field. One of which is one that we all probably have sitting on the table with us right here, smartphones. They're known as computers in our pockets these days. Thankfully, yes, still call, text, email, all of those things. You have internet access, social media, television, movies, games, video chat. These can also all be voice activated. So from the social connection aspect, again, we're all in our homes. They're a great tool to stay in contact with loved ones, but also stay in contact with people we're working with on a daily basis, keeping everybody on the same page. The facial recognition is significant for some of the phones that have it. If somebody is unable to use their arms for whatever reason, they can, as long as that phone is propped up for them and placed in a position that's optimal for them, the phone can be unlocked, and then they can use the voice recognition or voice activation to call anybody they need or text anybody they need in times of emergency or just to be in contact with somebody. There are anti-glare screen covers, just going back to people that may be visually impaired and reducing any glare that may be prevalent, just so that they can see what's on their phone. And I don't know about any other phones, but I know for my personal phone, I have an iPhone, and if the side button on it, if you click that 5 times, an alarm will start going off, and then all you have to do is swipe once, and emergency services will be dispatched to you right away. Well, they'll talk to you and make sure everything's okay, but if nobody's on the other end, they will send services to you. So for individuals who may be audibly impaired that can't speak, this could be a feature for them if they were in some kind of an emergency that feature was required. But it is a great tool to know about. So things that are typically paired with our smartphones are smartwatches. And obviously, yes, they still tell time. But now a lot of the devices can monitor our heart rates. They can, there's one actually, the Fitbit, the only one through my research that can actually monitor the oxygen levels in your body. They track our activities, they remind us to get up and move, they tell us our achievements, and you can even connect with friends and kind of share what you're doing with your activity levels. Some of them have GPS features. You can control your music with them. They're also voice activated and are typically powered through either a Bluetooth or a cellular connection. There are low and high tech options available out there. And they're just great tools for when your smartphone may not be readily accessible. Some of them you have to have like your Bluetooth connection, so you have to be pretty close to your phone. Some have cellular plans though, so you can leave your phone at home and just take your watch. But for times where you may leave your phone somewhere or in the next room, it's attached to you right here, and you can use it to communicate, call emergency services or anybody that you need help from. Here's an example of that. We have some people may require like mobility or other lifts for their vehicles or for working on equipment, as you see here on the right. And say that something goes wrong with that lift and they get stuck up there, or they leave their phone in the truck, or the phone may be in their front pocket or their back pocket. As you can see here, they're buckled in, they're up there, but it is very high and they don't need to be moving around and reaching for things. So having something like a smartwatch that's readily available right on your wrist, you can call emergency services, or you can call somebody who may just be in the next building or in the home to come and help you to get you down. So many implications for smartwatches. This is just an example of when it would be helpful. I don't know why we're not advancing. There we go. There's the Philips Lifeline. They've been around for a while. They have a wide variety of products for on-the-go, at-home products. They have a waterproof bracelet, and a lot of their devices are equipped with fall detection technology. So these ones that look more like boxes or hubs, they're stationary. You could put them in your home. You could put them out in any other building on your property. And they're equipped with, if they sense enough impact from a force, they will assume that was a fall, and they will call you and make sure everything's okay. But the wearable wristbands and the necklaces, you can have those on you, and whether it's any other emergency or you do fall, you can push that button and you're immediately connected with one of their representatives. They do highlight the strangulation risk, which in the medical field, we don't like typically anything to be around people's necks from that strangulation risk, but their necklace is equipped with, if it senses enough force, it will just break, eliminating that strangulation risk. From these base stations, though, you do have to be within 800 feet from it, so they are typically home devices, and when they say on the go, you can be out, as you see here, somebody's fishing, or just out in the barn next to your house. As long as you're within that 800 feet radius, the services will work. Portable vital sign products. So again, going back to that list of conditions and injuries that people within agriculture experience, a lot of those conditions require people to now monitor their vital signs more regularly. So things like, well, some of these have been around for years, but you see the one with the smartphone where it'll track things for you, it'll store your numbers, and sometimes even your doctor can see that, or family members, people that you allow to. So things like body temperature, blood pressure, heart rate, breathing rate, blood sugar, oxygen levels, things like that are very important to monitor. You can now do that whether you're living alone or you are just somewhere where you need to be able to have something to test it. They have these options that are available. This was one that was very interesting I came across, and I don't even know if I would define this one as smart technology, but because of the times that we are in right now, with this COVID-19 situation, this company called G95 created a product called the BioScarf. And basically what it is they have a variety of scarves, of mask-like things, but they look like scarves. And there is a built-in N95 air filter within the scarf. So it was very interesting when I saw it. It's been tested to prevent things like things that are listed here below you can read. But it was just interesting enough with the times going on that I did not want to include it. So it's out there. You can do your research and check it out more, but it was very interesting. Now we're going to get into some devices that are used on farms and some of the IoT devices, much larger software programs and things like that that are used on farms. Drones are something that is very prevalent in today's world for filming movies, but literally anything that drones do, they make things pretty helpful. So within agriculture, you can use them for soil and field analysis, crop mapping and surveying, even seed planting, crop spraying and spot spraying, excuse me, irrigation monitoring and management, and even real-time livestock monitoring. So while it makes things easier in some ways, you don't have to have somebody, a laborer, manually go out walking or driving to check things. If you're just somebody who prefers more technology options, this is great. But also for people who may have experienced an injury and they can no longer go out and do those things manually, whether they have to stay within a certain home environment or they just can't get out and do things in a truck or walk around. This can be their way of still wanting to contribute on the farm and stay in agriculture if it's something that they're passionate about. Waterbit is a company that they have a cloud-based solution system that combines near real-time data on soil and crop conditions. So it's essentially an irrigation planning and execution system. It's all solar powered, but it can detect things like leak, carbon levels, certain areas of your field that might be flooded or needing irrigation. So if we go to their map here, you can kind of see just a system of what theirs would look like. As I mentioned, the different sensors, the different controllers and valves, but everything is solar powered. Everything is then transmitted from the system to either your smartphone or your laptop, and you can read the levels that it's giving you and determine how you want to handle that, and you can do that, all from your phone or laptop wherever you may be in the world, and control the irrigation that happens on your fields. So this is typically, they said it was used in vineyards, grapes, almonds, and smaller vegetables, but it has been used in some soybean fields and cornfields as well. So it's something that can be efficient, maybe make things quicker, but again, for somebody who may not be able to manually get out there and do it themselves and analyze the status of their field, this can be something great that helps them stay connected and able to do that. QUANTIFIEDAG, they, as cattle, as we know, they always have a tag on their ear. And what they do is they've created a smart tag that can go onto their cow's ears. What it's made for is to identify sick animals earlier and more accurately. Earlier identification means early and quicker treatment interventions. You can find that specific cow, isolate it from the rest of your herd in order to not spread it to them. But it can improve labor efficiency and save time looking for that sick animal. So you see the tag here that's lit up. Basically, if elevated temperatures are noticed, sensors will go off, you'll get notified, but the green light will show up. So when somebody goes out to determine where that cow is, they don't have to read each number on the tag or identify what a sick animal may look like. The animal is lit up there. You can match the number just to double check it, obviously, but can take out some guesswork and take you right to that sick animal. Here's what the tag looks like. It uses the standard pinning technique, so it's nothing that you would have to change your equipment for or anything as far as tagging the ear goes. The lithium battery, they say that it can be used for multiple animals, so once it's no longer needed for one cow, it can be reprogrammed and placed onto another cow. Again, the bright LED lights But then the animal's data, the temperatures that it tracks, it also tracks the activity of the cows, their movement patterns. All that is then sent up to the cloud in something that you can reference and keep record of. It's used for larger operations, but one of their base stations or antennas can cover up to 48,000 head of cattle. So they can be helpful if you're looking for something to maybe save you some time and reduce labor. There was something else that they mentioned on a similar website where it was being tested back in 2017. I couldn't find anything more recent about what they found, but it was a device to feed to a cow directly, and it then served as an in-animal monitoring system where it would monitor body temperature, and then if something was elevated, they could send that data directly to a veterinarian to analyze. So their goal was to save time and guesswork, but again, I couldn't find any of the results of that, but it's just another testament that they're thinking about things and they're trying new things all the time. The last thing we're going to talk about here is smart farm equipment. So whether you're operating construction type equipment or farm equipment, a lot of the newer models that are coming out have sensors that are built into them. So they can detect leaks you may be having, issues with fuel filters, oil life levels, and things that may be overheating. So for instance, I actually interviewed a farmer talking about this specific technology, and he got a phone call from his dealer and said, hey, I have this beeping going on my machine. It's giving me a notification saying that one of your filters is bad and you have water in your fuel right now. I wanted to let you know so you can take a look at it. And so with these smart sensors, the dealership, the machine itself, and the farmer can all stay connected into a communication triangle there, and the goal of it is just to detect problems before they become more of a headache and have or require downtime for you to fix the issues, and in the end could maybe even be cost effective as well. So very interesting stuff. Again, this is not everything that was out there. There's so many more things that I didn't cover. These are the things that I thought were pertinent to efficiency and safety within the home and for people within agriculture. So thank you again for your interest. I'm thankful that you're all here, and I think now we're ready to get into some of the questions, which we will.
Luke, thanks very much for your presentation.
Yeah, thank you.
Some interesting ideas. Some I definitely had not heard about. I think the same was the case with many of our participants today. So at this point, we're still accepting questions in the chat area. I would like to go ahead and do our poll questions while we're waiting.
What are the most important considerations in recommending smart assistive technology to consumers? Yeah, I guess for that one, from my perspective here, I'm just putting the information out there, and if it's something that's interesting to you, or things that you think could be useful, that would be up to you. But as far as from like a therapy perspective, when we recommend things, obviously we can't force somebody to use something, so we make recommendations for why it could be beneficial for somebody to use, why it could help them out in their daily life. But we also really need to take into consideration the safety of the individual, their capabilities, not only their physical capabilities, but their understanding, their cognitive understanding of what the device is, what it's doing for them, if there's any safety issues with it. So I would say the biggest thing with that would be making sure that the device is good for that individual person. All these devices are great, but they're not great for each individual person. So just making sure that that is taken into perspective, but also the safety of it. Good question. Can you address the concerns of having smart technology spy on the consumer? I can't specifically for each individual product or anything. I know for ones that are dealing with people with very severe medical conditions, those are much more heavily controlled with who can have access to those. People like just doctors, close family members. But as far as spying on the consumer, I think that might be a bit above the research I did or even what they're even going to tell us. Personally, I know I have something over my camera when I'm not using it, but I think that's just up to people's discretion on how safe they think that the item is that they buy. So, are most of these assistive technology devices bought by the person, family, VR, or other funding? So things like the smart hubs or smart TVs, things that are in your home that are typically, I would say, more entertainment centered, those would not be anything covered by vocational rehab per se, or most insurance companies, I would say. This is my understanding of it. A lot of those things are going to be bought by the individual personally out of their funds. But if you're a direct client or customer of or client of AgrAbility, and we make a list of recommendations, we'll send that to vocational rehabilitation. They will get back to us and say they may cover some of it, all of it. Just kind of depends on the nature of it. Other funding sources, excuse me, other funding sources besides private insurances and Medicare, I'm not really sure. I know in some facilities like nursing homes and hospitals, they've worked that into their budget. So lower tech assistive technology, not necessarily smart technology, they'll actually give to the patient when they leave and go back home. So I think that's the best I can answer that at this point. Where do you get the G95 scarf? I'm surprised I'm not hearing more about it. I was very surprised when I came up. It seemed, based on their website, that they've been here for a while, and that they're by no means seemed like a scam or like a unprofessional thing. It looked really legit. I can just say go to or Google G95. That's the name of the company, and then maybe the name BioScarf. But beyond that, I would say that's up to if you're interested, just check their website out, see what they're all about, and maybe contact them about their current status with the state of everything going on. I'm an OTD student at the University of Pittsburgh, and I was wondering if there is information available online about the OT internship, or if you have any other formal opportunities for OT students. So opportunities for OT students, but also just everybody who might be interested. Things like this, like the webinars. We have, depending on your individual state, there may be like workshops that you can sign up for and go to. But as far as the occupational therapy internships, that's going to be based specifically on your state, if there is an active program in your state or an affiliate project. Some states may be able to accommodate having an intern work with them. Other states may not be able to based on their individual or their current status with their program. So I would say, Paul, you might be able to answer if there is a current one in Pittsburgh. I'm not sure.
Yeah, Pennsylvania does have an AgrAbility project.
Okay.
I think we had another question, maybe the next one. Whoops, there was another question about internships. And I would say you can look at the AgrAbility website and go to the state projects page and see if you have a project, and there's contact information for all the state projects. And you're also welcome to contact us here at the National AgrAbility Project. You can use my email address or use the Contact Us form on our website if you have questions.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Paul. With the issues of security in the internet, what systems, methods, or interventions have you found effective in protecting clients? I think similarly to the other question, I know there are a lot of things coming out now about certain programs or certain websites that we thought were trustable, and then things came out that information was being taken, or they were having access to things we didn't know about. As far as the products that you're going to be buying from Amazon or Walmart, I can't speak on those, but things that are used in hospitals or other medical facilities, or even in home health situations when a therapist comes to your home, all of those things, it's not like we're documenting on like Microsoft Word or anything. Like they're specific websites that are meant for medical professionals, and I'm assuming they take much more precautions and security measures than maybe like a social media page does. I'm not sure, but we uphold all of the HIPAA regulations, which just make sure we keep client information as secure as possible, just for their safety and their privacy. So I hope that answers your question. I think I'm understanding it correctly. Yeah. Does AgrAbility currently employ OTs besides for assistive technology? To my knowledge, I know we have an occupational therapy individual in Arizona, I believe, or maybe New Mexico. Paul, you might prevent that.
Actually, there are several OTs that are employed through AgrAbility to do a variety of tasks, like conduct worksite assessments, make other evaluations. Just off the top of my head, I know Maine and Kansas, and I don't mean to ignore anybody else that has it. I just those are two that come to my mind. Again, if you have questions about that, feel free to contact us here at the National AgrAbility Project, or visit the website and check out the different state projects. We had a question about what is your email address. I'm not sure if that refers to me or to Luke, but we can put those up and leave the chat open after we close here. I'm just checking real quick in terms of other questions that might be. Someone wants to know where the wine farm was in your picture for a tour, but I'm not sure you would be able to answer that one.
Vineyard, yeah, my bad on that one. I don't know about where that would be. Maybe it's on their website. They might have locations for that.
Let me just double check here on terms of participants.
It was a joke, he says. Okay. Huh.
Yeah. Any other questions? Let me just check through the list, see if anybody's got their hand raised. I don't believe so at this point.
I don't remember if we knew who the question came from, but we did have a question a couple weeks ago that somebody sent in about the maintenance of these devices. So if you're still in here and that was your question, I'll address that quickly. We, as far as the personal ones that are like within your home, those are going to be kind of up to you to upkeep and maintain. But any of the more significant devices or the more higher tech ones, the companies themselves are going to have their individual process of how they help service those things. But from occupational therapy standpoint, we take into part of our therapy educating our patients and our clients on the importance of upkeep, maintaining, cleaning their devices for the sake of health, but also keeping the device working as it should. So the maintenance of it, depending on what the device is and how you acquired it, what it's used for, could be just the person, up to their responsibility to maintain it. But if you have a therapist or a doctor who's maybe helping you acquire it, they're going to be able to help you with the techniques and education to maintain and take care of your devices. Okay, I believe we are at the end of our time, a little bit over time, and thanks for sticking around. We do have both my email address and Luke's in the chat right now for anybody that needs to get that information. We are recording, and we'll be putting this up as soon as we're able to do that.
Again, consider joining us for our next webinar in May about international issues. And again, we hope everybody stays safe during this time and remains as productive as possible. I know that's a challenge given our circumstances. So thank you again, Luke, for doing a great job of summarizing this topic.
Yeah, thank you guys.
And we wish you a good day.
Take care.